You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
Can I get some flames in the chat? Can I get some flames in the chat? Because Pete Hegseth was just letting her rip. Klein and my team, Hegseth just left the stage. We didn't get like a readout for when the speeches would be this morning. So again, we're live an hour early for Trump's speech. Hegseth's speech started at 8 a.m. And so we just let it go. Look at all those beautiful flames. Let's go, baby. Here's the flames. We got flames for you. Klein, just let her rip with Hegseth clips. Hegseth, the point of Hegseth's speech was to just rip the guts out of DEI in the military and wokeness in the military. The point of Hegseth's speech was to just flame Mark Milley. He went after Mark Milley. He went after the fat generals, the slovenly generals. Our incredible production team here has a wonderful, wonderful highlight reel for you. Let's just rock and roll. Again, Hegseth just left the speech, so we're loading up the clips. Let's rock.
That are arriving at your commands as we speak and in your inbox. Today, at my direction, each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS, for every designated combat arms position, returns to the highest male standard only. Because this job is life or death. Standards must be met. And not just met, at every level, we should seek to exceed the standard, to push the envelope, to compete. It's common sense and core to who we are and what we do. It should be in our DNA. Today, at my direction, we are also adding a combat field test for combat arms units that must be executable in any environment at any time and with combat equipment. These tests, they'll look familiar. They'll resemble the Army Expert Physical Fitness Assessment or the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test. I'm also directing that warfighters in combat jobs execute their service fitness test at a gender-neutral, age-normed male standard scored above 70%. It all starts with physical fitness and appearance.
Baby, we're rocking. I will, and you've heard me before go off on these fat generals. Could you have like a little bit of pride? I'm not in the military, but I'm well aware that like to seize your American dream and have the energy to like raise a family, have kids, like project like strength through life, you have to like take care of yourself. And if you are in a war fighting role and you can't do a push-up and you're gonna sit there, like everyone's seen a photo of Mark Milley, right? Anybody seen a photo of Mark Milley? Like, do you think that guy can do a push-up? When was the last time he did a push-up? Much less say pull up. Much less say, like, run down a flight of stairs. No way, dude. The guy is pulling himself up only to the buffet at Golden Corral. And so I'm sitting there saying, you're in charge of hundreds of millions of men that are supposed to go fight wars, and you look like the war that you're fighting is with a $5 footlong, the 5 for 5 menu at McDonald's. And I'm telling you that that's like a bad look. And everybody knows, like, subject old dude. Everybody knows, like that's not a guarantee. You don't have to look like that. That you can, like, take care of yourself. I'm thinking about my grandfather who fought in World War II. Lived out his days in Mississippi, tending to a Civil War cemetery, actually. And he was like, that dude built every house he ever lived in. That dude was fit as a fiddle through his 90s. Same thing with my wife's grandfather. Like, it doesn't have to go like this, right? And so why are all of our generals looking like such slobs, obviously represented by Mark Milley? And so it's good for Hegseth. Okay, let's continue. We got a ton of great clips here from Hegseth. Okay, woke department. Is that where we're going? Woke department. I'm going to follow the script here now, Klein, as we're putting this together. All right. Woke department. Or actually, no fat generals. We have that clip. All right, great. Klein, no fat generals. Since we're on the subject, let's rock and roll. Thank you, Hegseth.
Fitness and appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT, so can every member of our joint force.
Yes.
Frankly,
yes.
It's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops.
Whoa.
Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon.
Whoa.
And leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a 4-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the joint force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service. Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our joint force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already.
Baby. That's amazing. I mean, listen, this is like exactly what we should be doing. Why on earth would anybody ever argue against this? And this is not middle management at JP Morgan. I mean, like, what are you, like, this is not like Enterprise Rent-A-Car. This is America's military. You know, the taxpayers are lavishing you with $1 trillion budget a year in order to go and be dangerous and scary and prepare for war. That's going to be our next clip. Klein, thank you. And this is exactly why we are paying more than, I think, the next like 5 nations combined for our military, so that we can have top lethality, so that we can have peace, not war, so that we can prepare for peace because we're able to wage war. But unfortunately, the way that it works in the federal government is that kind of lavishing of taxpayer funds often gets squandered, wasted. The people who are using them get lazy, slovenly, entitled. And that is what's happened to America's military generals. Pete Hegseth says no more. He says, prepare for war. This may well be my favorite clip yet from the speech. Again, Pete Hegseth, if you're just joining us, Pete Hegseth just left the stage. We're going through the highlights of Pete Hegseth's speech as we prepare for Donald Trump to speak to every American flag officer, general, admiral in the U.S. military. The first time it's happened since World War II. Pete Hegseth telling all of his generals, prepare for war. Let's go.
Truth. To ensure peace, we must prepare for war. From this moment forward, the only mission of the newly restored Department of War is this: warfighting, preparing for war and preparing to win, unrelenting and uncompromising in that pursuit. Not because we want war, no one here wants war, but it's because we love peace. We love peace for our fellow citizens. They deserve peace, and they rightfully expect us to deliver it. Our number one job, of course, is to be strong so that we can prevent war in the first place. The president talks about it all the time. It's called peace through strength. And as history teaches us, the only people who actually deserve peace are those who are willing to wage war to defend it. That's why pacifism is so naive and dangerous. It ignores human nature and it ignores human history. Either you protect your people and your sovereignty, or you will be subservient to something or someone. It's a truth as old as time. And since waging war is so costly in blood and treasure, we owe our republic a military that will win any war we choose.
My favorite line of the speech thus far. That's my favorite line. You will be a slave. You don't deserve peace if you can't wage war. Pacifism leads to slavery. Pacifism leads to you being subservient to the stronger power. Genius. Perfect. Absolutely rings like a bell, ladies and gentlemen. A perfect note from Pete Hegseth. Prepare for war so that we can be at peace. Of course, they're talking about communist China there. And they're talking about remaking the American military. Speaking of the people who he's remaking it from, Pete Hegseth went directly at Mark Milley, which is quite a move here. Said, we need less Mark Millies and more General Pattons. Spot on. And to say it in a room of Mark Millies like besties and friends, I mean, this is really something. To say it in a room of people who work with Mark Milley and probably like either owe their careers to Mark Milley or, you know, had to kiss his ass at one point or another. And this is an amazing, amazing commentary. Let's go.
Our job together is to ensure our military is led by the very best, ready to answer the nation's call. Fifth, as you have seen, and the media has obsessed over, I have fired a number of senior officers since taking over. The previous chairman, other members of the Joint Chiefs, combatant commanders, and other commanders. The rationale for me has been straightforward. It's nearly impossible to change a culture with the same people who helped create or even benefited from that culture, even if that culture was created by a previous president and previous secretary. My approach has been simple. When in doubt, assess the situation, follow your gut, and if it's the best for the military, make a change. We all serve at the pleasure of the president every single day. But in many ways, it's not their fault. It's not your fault. As foolish and reckless as the woke department was, those officers were following elected political leadership. An entire generation of generals and admirals were told that they must parrot the insane fallacy that, quote, our diversity is our strength. Of course, we know our unity is our strength. They had to put out dizzying DEI and LGBTQI plus statements. They were told females and males are the same thing, or that males who think they're females is totally normal.
Whew, cooking, bro.
They were told that we need a green fleet and electric tanks. They were told to kick out Americans who refuse an emergency vaccine. They followed civilian policies set by foolish and reckless political leaders.
Oh, man.
Our job, my job, has been to determine which leaders simply did what they must to answer the prerogatives of civilian leadership, and which leaders are truly invested in the woke department, and therefore incapable of embracing the War Department and executing new lawful orders. That's it. It's that simple. So for the past 8 months, we've gotten a good look under the hood of our officer corps. We've done our best to thoroughly assess the human terrain. We've had to make trade-offs and some difficult decisions. It's more of an art than a science. We have been and will continue to be judicious, but also expeditious. The new compass heading is clear. Out with the Shirellis, the Mackenzies, and the Millies, and in with the Stockdales, the Schwarzkopfs, and the Pattons.
Yes. I'm sitting there like, please don't let the clip end. Please don't let that. I want to keep going. Keep going. Actually, we have a fantastic 3-minute scorched earth against the woke department versus the War Department. We'll play you that. Sort of like the penultimate cornerstone of the entire speech. What a beautiful takedown. You got to understand what woke is. Woke is religion for people that don't believe in God. Woke is the ability for those people to try and conquer through the sword, as they have proven. They are very, very violent and malevolent individuals, or through institutional capture, and then to project their pagan worldview on all of us. Alex Karp, of all people, had a wild speech on this. Anyway, there's a tone change here. Woke is a religion. Woke is a religion for people that don't believe in God. They believe in themselves. They believe in humanism and transhumanism. And they are doing what every religion tries to do, which is conquest, conversions. And the way that they do it is they go through institutions and they rip through those institutions, whether it's a bank or a sports team, whether it's the NFL. You know, just hired some like cross-dressing Satanist to play at the Super Bowl, to be the Super Bowl halftime. The guy that doesn't even like, the guy doesn't sing in English and he doesn't tour in America. But they play in the Super Bowl. That's woke. That's like that's what woke is, right? Total and complete institutional capture. And that's what they did to the military. And what Pete Hegseth is doing there is bulldozing that diseased temple into the ground, desecrating their idols before them, listening to the weeping and lamentations of their women. What is a woman? They don't even know. We all remember Mark Milley. I want to understand white rage. We all remember all the like pregnant fighter pilot suits, right? We remember all these, the insanity, the insufferable nature of wokeness in the military. And if you know somebody who's in the military, you'll understand how out of control it really got. How it did, in fact, become the religion of the military. Because that's just the way that these institutions are. It's heavy, top down, and people follow orders. And so when those orders come from these pagans and these hedonists, then you're able to just convert because everyone must do what you say. And so that's what they did in the military. They actually targeted the military specifically, installed the wokest, weakest, saddest, most wicked generals in American history, and they used the military not for war fighting, but for societal and social experimentation with their pagan religion. Remember the recruitment ads from the Biden era? I marched for civil rights with my two moms. And that's why I'm in the army. What? What does that have to do with war fighting? This has not, I mean, again, it was a contagion, a wokeness contagion that traveled through the ranks of the military at light speed by design because they were able to perform institutional capture and try and convert this entire organization to their religion. And that's what they did. And it was very dangerous. And it weakened America. And everybody watched what happened in Afghanistan. And everybody's watched what has seen what's happened over the last couple of years with our military. Recruitment numbers falling through the floor. Because young men who fight and die in all your wars don't want to sign up to serve under someone who attacks white rage. White rage is how you win a war. That's how America's always won wars. Idiots attack white people. They don't want to serve for leader. Young white men don't want to sign up for leadership that doesn't know what a man is or that hates white people. And then they're like, why do we have a recruitment problem? Because we don't want to be part of your pagan religion. I mean, because we want to live normal lives, upstanding moral lives. We have a moral and good nation. That's why. And this is what they done to the military. And this is what's being undone right now. And this is why young men are signing up at record numbers. I don't know when Trump, I mean, we can show you the live shot right here. Again, Trump will be taking the stage soon. Trump will take the stage soon. This is the live shot. You can see all of the admirals and generals and so on who just got ripped to shreds for being fat by Pete Hegseth. Amazing. And then Pete Hegseth teaching them some slang. First time ever, the Department of War, Secretary of War said FAFO. Let's go.
Precision and ferocity of the War Department. In other words, to our enemies, FAFO. If necessary, our troops can translate that for you. Another way to put it is peace through strength. brought to you by the warrior ethos. And we are restoring both. This speech today, as I drink my coffee, this speech today is about people, and it's about culture. The topic today is about the nature of ourselves. Because no plan, no program, no reform, no formation will ultimately succeed unless we have the right people and the right culture at the War Department. If I've learned one core lesson in my 8 months in this job, it's that personnel is policy. Personnel is policy. The best way to take care of troops is to give them good leaders committed to the warfighting culture of the department. Not perfect leaders, good leaders. Competent, qualified, professional, agile, aggressive, innovative, risk-taking, apolitical, faithful to their oath and to the Constitution. Eugene Sledge, in his World War II memoir, wrote, quote, "War is brutish, inglorious, and a terrible waste. Combat leaves an indelible mark on those who are forced to endure it. The only redeeming factors are my comrades' incredible bravery and their devotion to each other." In combat, there are thousands of variables, as I learned in Iraq and Afghanistan, and as so many of you did in so many more places. Leaders can only control about 3 of them. You control how well you're trained, mostly how well you're equipped, and the last variable is how well you lead. After that, you're on your own. Our warfighters are entitled to be led by the best and most capable leaders. That is who we need you all to be. Even then, in combat, even if you do everything right, you may still lose people because the enemy always gets a vote. We have a sacred duty to ensure that our warriors are led by the most capable and qualified combat leaders. This is one thing you and I can control. And we owe it to the force to deliver it. For too long, we have simply not done that. The military has been forced by foolish and reckless politicians to focus on the wrong things. In many ways, this speech is about fixing decades of decay. Some of it obvious, some of it hidden. Or as the chairman has put it, we are clearing out the debris, removing the distractions, clearing the way for leaders to be leaders. You might say we're ending the war on warriors. I heard someone wrote a book about that. For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons. Based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts. We've pretended that combat arms and non-combat arms are the same thing. We've weeded out so-called toxic leaders under the guise of double-blind psychology assessments, promoting risk-averse, go-along-to-get-along conformists instead. You name it, the department did it. Foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way. We became the woke department.